Hey Global Village, what's up? Okay, this fucking platform can really rub me up the wrong way sometimes, and this is my futile attempt to just try and set the record straight. I'm never going to actually discuss this particular point again because it is essentially a time waster. But it is demonstrative of the way I think a lot of people behave and the sort of things they decide to burn their time on. Now, the video I made previously about Bad Empanada and his take on Zoran Mandani and why I feel there is an alternative hypothesis as to why he is behaving the way he is, attracted a comment that I felt was quite toxic. Certainly triggered me anyway. And so I just want to clarify a few things here. The first accusation that was leveled against me is that I didn't go step by step through Bad Empanada's video and rebut his points one by one, but rather I just sort of reached into an abstract concept. Now, I'm going to repeat that abstract concept because, that is something human brains can do as a way to actually rationalize and discuss things in a productive and meaningful way. And hopefully this time I will make the point a little more clearly. Because going through Bad Empanada's video point by point would actually have been a waste of time anyway. And the reason is because I wasn't disagreeing with the evidence he was presenting. There is no question that Zoran Mandani has taken a backward step in terms of his pro-Zionist his pro-Palestinian anti-Zionist position. Yeah, he is definitely playing his cards closer to his chest. And Bad Empanada provided plenty of evidence, and in a very robust way, as he always does, to point this fact out. And he's been doing that for a few videos now, so he has a clear agenda here. It's his implication, pretty obviously, is that Mandani is in the process of selling out. Now, I thought that was an interesting question, and I feel that this conjecture, which is what it is, because, believe it or not, Bad Empanada does not read people's minds, so he's not in Zoran Mandani's head, so he doesn't actually know why he's doing what he's doing. So I'm suggesting the conjecture may have a different answer. And I've already litigated that in the previous video, that he may be playing a game, that he may feel the most effective way he can assist the Palestinian cause whilst engaging in probably one of the most corrupt political systems on the face of the planet, is not by just charging in like a bull, but by being a little bit subtle, by maybe applying the philosophy of Aikido. And maybe when he feels the time is right, he can start to ratchet things up again. We don't know. We don't know what's going on in his head. Maybe he is selling out. But I think we should, in good faith, entertain the possibility that he's just using a methodology that he thinks is going to ultimately serve his objectives better. Now, the other thing that was pointed out here is that Bad Empanada has, on a number of occasions, claimed Owen Jones is just some sort of pro-Zionist apologist, which this commenter echoed. And I think that is one of the most idiotic and counterproductive things that you could spend your time doing, and is definitely one of the weakest aspects of Bad Empanada, and one of the things about his channel that I really don't like, when he does this purity test kind of thing, in which apparently people who you would otherwise think are aligned with him just don't meet his standard, and he comes down on them hard, like almost as if you would think they have no redeeming attributes. Now, in the case of Owen Jones, the whole idea that he is a Zionist apologist is simply idiotic. I compare it a little bit to these militant vegans who might say to you something along the lines of, if you cook your vegetables in a pan that's previously had meat in it, then you're almost as bad as the people that ate the meat. Now, there may be some kind of technical merit that can be taken out of this discussion, and that, yeah, you're going to maybe get a few molecules of meat on your vegetables. But the bigger point here is this kind of rhetoric is, it isolates the militant vegan, from the very people that you would think they would be trying to bring over to their side. Because when you hear people making arguments like that, you think this person is just a kind of a fucking weirdo who, you just can't basically have a sensible, normal conversation with. And unfortunately, based around this almost sort of cult of personality thing that so often happens on YouTube, people get this idea that you have to follow your leader down the fucking rabbit hole, even when they say things that are just obviously wrong. Now, what I'm going to do here is we're going to listen to Owen Jones, the Zionist apologist, interviewing an Australian Palestinian doctor who has been to Palestine and worked in Gaza and is reporting back on all of the absolute horrors that he has firsthand experienced in that place while he's there. Now, the question I have to ask you is, if Owen Jones was a Zionist apologist, why would this doctor, who is about the farthest thing you could ever get from a Zionist apologist, even be sitting down with Owen in the first place? In reality, what Owen is doing here by platforming this doctor is reaching out to many people in, I don't know, I don't think you can call his audience mainstream, but he is a little bit more mainstream adjacent, so perhaps he's connecting to people that Bad Empanada is never going to connect with, in a way that, well, I think the interview speaks for itself. So let's just have a bit of a listen.
This interview is going to shock you, even if you think you couldn't possibly be shocked anymore about Israel's genocide in Gaza. I'm going to speak to this incredible doctor. He's a British-Australian doctor of Palestinian heritage. He's been there in Gaza working in apocalyptic conditions. And, I'm here at Cafe Palestina. Do go, by the way, it's in North London. And we're going to talk here about what's actually happening, the horrors being unleashed with the complicity of our government, which is helping to facilitate this genocide. And what we're going to talk about is just so beyond description. And he talks so brilliantly and eloquently. We have to hear this. He's also got ideas about what can be done. If you're feeling helpless and you've just given up, this interview is so important. So please listen as best you can.
Well, we can really hear the Zionist apologist just dripping through there, can't we? Anyway, let's get on with the interview.
So no, I mean, you're a British-Australian doctor of Palestinian heritage. I guess that's, one way of describing, your identity, heritage. Just before I ask you about Gaza, I mean, why did you become a doctor?
Well, my dad's a doctor, and my dad was born in the refugee camps of Gaza. As a matter of fact, actually, his clothes that he used to wear a sack, and it was a USAID flour bag, and he used to cut holes in it, and that was his trousers. It's knowing the poverty that he came from, and knowing that education was the key to get out of that poverty. And he became a doctor. He was educated in Egypt, He's now one of the leading fertility specialists in the UK. And I used to watch him every day when I was a kid, going to work. I used to see what he was able to do for our family. And I was also to see how he was able to uplift other people out of poverty as well. And it was medicine that did that. So that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor because I wanted to just be like my dad.
Genocide began about 21 months ago. At what point in that time did you think, I'm going to have to go to Gaza?
You know, the first 24 days of that war, 1,900 children were killed in the first 24 days. If anybody had been following the pro-Palestine movement or knew anything about the area and the region, everybody knows that there was a genocide that was always going to happen. And it was just a matter of when, not if. And I think it was evident when you killed 2,000 children in about 20 days, I think everybody knew what was coming next. But I don't think anybody expected it to go on for as long as it did. I think naively, I still had a bit of faith in the world that it would stop this, and obviously they didn't.
I will link to the full interview in the description, and if you haven't listened to it, you really should, because the insights and the horrors that this man is able to testify to is not something that anyone should look away from. So let's be clear about this. When I create videos talking about Palestine and that kind of stuff, it's not because I'm trying to cultivate an audience. I'm talking about something because I need to express my horror, my pain and anguish that this is what humanity is capable of. I question how it is that I can live safely in a home and know that I'm not going to have people storm my home, throw me out of it, and claim that it is theirs because God gave it to them. But this is the world we actually live in, where a very wealthy society, people who live a life of privilege, probably better than mine, are victimizing, murdering, slaughtering, suppressing, and denying basic human rights to an entire other population of people they live literally right next door to and on top of. It's horrifying. So this isn't a game, and the reality is that's what we should be talking about. So this video with Mohammed Mustafa, this doctor, this is what we should be listening to. This is where we should be spending our time. Not attacking someone like Owen Jones because he doesn't meet your fucking purity test. I don't know what else to say. If this is what a pro-Zionist looks like, then maybe I'm in big trouble. Anyway, Bendy out.